Have you ever had that nagging feeling, like there's some kind of secret key hiding in plain sight? Something that could unlock a totally different life?
hmm
Welcome, everyone. Today, we're diving into this really intriguing idea that profound transformations don't always need these huge external upheavals.
Right. Sometimes it's about subtle shifts, things happening inside us, almost invisible to others, but, well, incredibly powerful for shaping our own reality.
Exactly. And we're going to explore how this plays out, looking at things like our own consciousness, the surprising power of keeping things quiet.
Yeah, the subconscious mind, too, how that shapes everything, and of course, those weird coincidences, synchronicities.
Our mission today is really to unpack how these elements, maybe from consciousness research, maybe from older wisdom traditions, how they all weave together to influence the world we actually experience.
Fascinating stuff.
Okay, so let's start unpacking this. This idea that reality isn't set in stone like concrete, but maybe more like, I don't know, a canvas we can tweak with our minds. That's pretty mind-bending, isn't it?
It really is.
Yeah.
And, there are researchers, especially in consciousness studies, who've looked deeply into how our perception actively shapes what we experience.
Yeah.
It's not just a passive receiving.
So it's not just seeing what's there, it's kind of co-creating it.
In a way, yes. What's really interesting is the perspective that there might be this underlying field where all possibilities kind of
Yeah.
exist,
You know,
latent.
like an ocean of potential.
Exactly, like an ocean
Yeah.
of potential. And from that view, those synchronicities, the ones that make you go, whoa, or events that seem to come out of nowhere,
Yeah.
they could actually be echoes, reflections of our own internal tuning, our, let's call it personal frequency, attracting certain experiences. Have you ever noticed how sometimes things just click effortlessly?
Definitely. And this is where it gets really interesting for me. The suggestion that when we're working on ourselves, doing that personal growth stuff, doing it privately, without broadcasting it, that it might actually speed things up.
Uh,
Why do you think there's this link people draw to, like old spiritual practices that often emphasize silence and quiet introspection?
well, I think that connection points to a really fundamental energy principle. Concentrated energy is just way more potent.
Okay.
If our intentions, our actions, are cultivated privately, without scattering that energy by seeking validation or dealing with others' opinions, the force, let's say the vibration of those goals gets much stronger.
Like focusing a beam?
Precisely. Like a laser focusing light onto a single point instead of a diffuse light bulb.
That really resonates. I mean, haven't you ever had that experience where you share a brilliant new idea and almost immediately some of that initial excitement just fizzles out a bit?
Absolutely. It's paradoxical, isn't it? Talking about our plans too early can sometimes drain the very energy needed to actually bring them into being.
Is there a psychological reason for that too?
Yeah, there could be. Some theories suggest that talking about a goal can trigger a dopamine release, giving you a sort of premature sense of accomplishment.
Ah, so you feel like you've already done something.
Exactly. And that can, ironically, reduce the actual motivation to take the necessary action.
So what this points to is maybe that old advice, actions speak louder than words, or act first, talk later. There's real wisdom in that.
I think so. If you look back, you find countless examples, don't you? People who achieved incredible things by working quietly, building things, reaching huge goals long before the world even knew what they were up to.
Protecting that energy.
Yes, protecting the energy and keeping that intention focused seems to create a more robust field for manifestation, free from external noise and interference.
Isn't it curious how often big breakthroughs happen after periods of quiet focus?
Even for smaller things, right? Like if you're learning a new skill, you might practice alone until you feel confident before you show anyone.
Totally. Every small, silent action, practicing an instrument, journaling, even just spending a few minutes visualizing it, all adds up. It contributes to significant long-term changes.
And we shouldn't forget those internal shifts either. Oh, absolutely not. Changes in mindset, emotional healing, those are hugely valuable, even if nobody else sees them directly. They're foundational.
So the key seems to be a kind of inner trust, trusting the process itself without needing that constant external pat on the back.
Exactly that. It seems the universe, or however you want to frame it, kind of rewards that quiet confidence, that persistence that keeps going even without applause. It's like faith in the process builds its own momentum.
Okay, let's shift gears slightly. Let's talk about the part of our mind that's running the show behind the scenes, the subconscious. We hear so much about its power.
Yeah, and it's fascinating when you really grasp how much our daily experiences are a direct reflection of that subconscious programming, much more than we usually consciously admit.
The iceberg analogy comes to mind.
It's a classic for a reason. The conscious mind, that's just the tip, maybe 10%. But below the surface, that massive 90%, that's the subconscious. It's this huge vault of our beliefs, our habits, our automatic patterns. I mean, think about how much you do every day without actively thinking about it.
Driving, tying shoes, tons of stuff.
Right. And those deep beliefs, especially the ones we absorbed like sponges when we were kids, they can genuinely set up invisible fences in our adult lives. We might not even know where they came from.
So they just run in the background, limiting us?
Pretty much. The subconscious acts like this giant database, storing memories, emotions, perceptions. And that database largely drives our automatic reactions and decisions. A really key thing about it is that it doesn't really differentiate between something that actually happened and something vividly imagined. It responds strongly to repetition and the emotional charge we attach to an idea.
Wow. So if that database is loaded with messages of scarcity or I'm not good enough, that's going to color how we see everything, opportunities included.
Undeniably. A scarcity program can create a lens where you're constantly seeing lack, even when abundance is right there. But the flip side is, if we manage to update that programming,
Reprogram it.
Reprogram it. We can align our perception with opportunity, with flow, with prosperity, our deepest beliefs about whether we deserve something or if we're capable. They have a massive impact on our ability to even see, let alone seize, opportunities. Isn't that incredible, the power of these invisible beliefs?
It is. So how do we even begin to access and reprogram that deep part of the mind? It sounds tricky.
Well, the core process involves a few key things. Consistent repetition of the new story you want to install. Clear, detailed visualization of the outcome you desire. And, this is crucial,
What's that?
associating positive emotions with that new reality. Feeling it.
Ah, the feeling component.
Yes. And paying attention to your daily self-talk is a huge first step. Catching those limiting phrases we say to ourselves, I can't, it's too hard. And consciously replacing them with empowering affirmations. It makes a difference over time.
But it's not just chanting affirmations like a parrot, right? You said feeling it is key. There has to be a genuine emotional connection for the subconscious to buy in.
Precisely. The power isn't just in the words. It's in feeling them as if they're already true. Visualizing the desired outcome in rich detail, and then, importantly, acting in your daily life as if that new reality is already here.
Acting as if.
Acting as if. When that new programming takes root, when it starts to feel natural, like your new normal, that's when you often see positive changes seemingly pop up, almost effortlessly, without that constant conscious struggle.
Okay, that leads nicely into talking about that almost mythical state, the state of flow. It sounds like everything just clicks into place magically.
Well, magically might be how it feels, but the state of flow is that wonderful experience where things really do seem to align perfectly. You feel this deep inner coherence, which often gets mirrored externally. The right people show up, the right opportunities land in your lap, seemingly at the perfect moment. It's fundamentally a state of being completely present.
In the now.
Totally in the now. Connected intensely with the present moment, free from internal resistance, free from fear. Have you ever been so absorbed in something that time just vanishes?
Oh yeah, definitely. Writing sometimes or playing music.
That's a taste of flow. And when we're in that state, that's when we seem most open to experiencing those meaningful coincidences. The synchronicities that feel like more than just chance.
Like the universe is winking at you.
Kind of. Synchronicity, as Carl Jung described it, involves these meaningful coincidences that seem statistically improbable, suggesting a deeper link between our inner world and outer reality.
So when our internal energy is harmonious.
Right, when it's coherent, the external world tends to reflect that organization through these seemingly perfect, timely events. It's like the universe is responding to that inner frequency.
Okay, so what pulls us out of that state? Why do we sometimes feel like we're just swimming upstream, fighting everything?
Resistance. Internal resistance is the main culprit.
What does that look like?
It looks like desperation to reach a goal, anxiety about the future, fear of failure, that creates this static, this energy field that disrupts the natural flow.
And paradoxically,
the more desperately we cling to a specific outcome, the more we often push it away. Because that attachment itself generates tension, doubt, and that constant feeling of struggle. You know that feeling when the harder you try to grip sand, the faster it slips through your fingers.
Yeah, exactly like that. So resistance is basically all those emotional roadblocks we build. Doubts, worries, needing to control how things happen.
That's a great way to put it. And that constant need to check, is it working yet? Why isn't it happening?
Yeah.
That frustration with a lack of immediate results. It's a clear signal of a lack of deep faith in the process.
So what's the antidote?
This is where the idea of surrender comes in.
Yeah.
And it's often misunderstood. It's not giving up.
Right, it's not passivity.
Not at all. It's more like absolute trust. Trusting that things will unfold as they should, when they should.
But surrender doesn't mean sitting on the couch doing nothing, does it? There's an important distinction there.
Absolutely crucial distinction. Surrender means taking action, doing what needs to be done, but without that heavy burden of tension, desperation, or feeling like you have to force the outcome.
Acting without attachment.
Yes. Non-resistance is deeply connected to accepting the present moment. Fighting against what is right now only reinforces it. It's like pushing against a wall, you just exhaust yourself.
So it's finding that sweet spot. Holding a clear intention, a strong desire, but simultaneously letting go of the obsessive need for it to happen exactly how and when you think it should.
That's the delicate balance. It's like planting a seed. You intend for it to grow, you water it, give it sunlight.
But you don't dig it up every day to check the roots.
Exactly. You trust the natural process, you have patience. The most fertile state for attracting what you desire is actually feeling whole and complete now in the present. Understanding that your happiness doesn't depend solely on achieving that future
Si hay un
thing.
principio que
Because
todas
the
las
universe
mentes
responds
sabias
to the energy
entienden,
of abundance,
es este.
not lack.
Lo que haces en secreto tiene un impacto mucho mayor que lo que expones al mundo. Cuando compartes tus planes e intenciones antes de materializarlos, tu energía se disipa, tu vibración se debilita y las opiniones externas comienzan a interferir con tu proceso. Piensa en esto. ¿Cuántas veces has tenido una idea increíble? ¿Se lo has contado a alguien y de repente has sentido que la emoción desaparecía? ¿Cuántas veces un plan prometedor se ha visto interrumpido por dudas que surgieron después de escuchar comentarios ajenos? Esto sucede porque, al compartir nuestros objetivos, damos cabida a otras energías que pueden estar fuera de sintonía con la vibración de lo que queremos manifestar. Además, hay un factor neurológico involucrado. Estudios indican que el cerebro no diferencia entre hablar de algo y hacerlo. Cuando revelas un plan antes de ejecutarlo, tu mente libera dopamina, el neurotransmisor del placer, dándote la sensación de que parte del trabajo ya está hecho. Como consecuencia, pierdes parte de la motivación necesaria para actuar. Observa los patrones de los grandes realizadores, aquellos que construyeron imperios, alcanzaron niveles elevados de conciencia y lograron hazañas extraordinarias. No andaban contándole todo a todo el mundo. Actuaron primero y hablaron después. Cuando proteges tu energía y mantienes tu intención enfocada, creas un campo vibratorio lo suficientemente fuerte como para materializar lo que deseas sin interferencias. Y esta práctica no se limita solo a grandes proyectos. Pequeñas acciones silenciosas pueden generar cambios significativos. Si deseas atraer algo a tu vida, visualízalo y siéntelo como si ya fuera real, pero evita compartir esta intención con demasiadas personas. Mantén esta vibración dentro de ti, permitiendo que se fortalezca. Si estás desarrollando un nuevo proyecto, aprendiendo una habilidad o cambiando un hábito, hazlo sin necesidad de validación externa. El progreso silencioso crea una energía poderosa de consistencia. Muchos logros internos, como cambios de mentalidad, sanación emocional y evolución espiritual, son extremadamente valiosos, pero no siempre necesitan ser compartidos. Permítete sentir esa victoria sin buscar reconocimiento. El universo recompensa a aquellos que confían en el proceso sin necesitar demostrarle nada a nadie.
Which concept really sparked something in you during our chat? That initial connection, that feeling of, yes, that can be a great guide. Start with what feels most natural or exciting right now. Trust that intuition.
That makes sense. Start where the energy is. Before we wrap up, any final thought you'd like to leave lingering with our listeners?
Just perhaps a reminder that the real power to reshape your life truly lies within you. And often, the deepest, most lasting changes tend to blossom quietly, nurtured in the silence of your own heart and mind.
That's a beautiful place to end. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.